Many years ago, the person I used to consider like my own brother constantly criticized me. And the few friends I used to have at the time always told me to be realistic whenever I told them about any goal. And it just felt like nobody believed in what I was doing, but I really wanted to earn their support. Until years later, I finally realized something. I was doing it all wrong. Hey there, I'm Paolo. I talk about building confidence, overcoming bad habits, and finally taking charge of your life. And you know what the hardest part is about taking charge? Doing it when nobody believes in you. Because when you chase your goals and nobody supports you, it hurts. But sometimes when it looks like nobody supports you, it has less to do with them and more to do with how you are approaching it. Before we get started, let me clarify something. When I say nobody supports you, I don't really mean zero people. Sometimes it's just that the people whose opinions you care about the most are not in your corner, or they are skeptical, or they're simply not saying what you want to hear. Now, here comes an uncomfortable truth. Nobody is actually obligated to believe in you. Yeah, even if you believe in them. I know it sounds unfair, but hear me out. You know that person that I said I consider like my own brother? When we shared the same apartment, I did everything in my power to support him. I did house chores so he could focus on his studies. I defended him when other people doubted him. And I gave him encouragement whenever he was feeling like giving up. So when he never returned any of that, and instead constantly called me a failure and said that I was stupid and naive for being so optimistic despite being a scaredy cat with no useful skills, it hurt. Of course it did. Sure, I know that that was mostly his very unhealthy way of dealing with his own frustrations, but it still hurts. Now, I could have decided to feel bitter and to start thinking, oh, I'm always there for him, but he never does the same for me. I should have never been nice to him. I should have never supported him. But that would have been wrong on my part, because that would have turned my support into something transactional. It would have been like when some parents support their children, but only because they expect something back, like top grades or a high paying job. The children can feel it, and that pushes them away. Because parents should support their children because they want to. That's it. Just as I supported my brother all those years because I wanted to. That was my choice. Now, this was a rather heavy example, but it was to show you that regardless of whether the person you support actually supports you back, or is indifferent, or even treats you badly, making your support and kindness conditional on the other person supporting you back is never a good strategy for building a trusting relationship where mutual support comes natural. That said, even though I can appreciate that I didn't go down that route, I still did many other things that made it hard for people to support me. Not because I was a bad person, at least I don't think I was, but because I did all the wrong things. Especially during my mid to late teenage years, I was so desperate for validation that I was unknowingly putting pressure on people to support me, almost as if I would blame them in case I failed. And I also used to get defensive when someone questioned my plans, even if they had valid points. And I also complained constantly about nobody supporting me, which just made people want to avoid me. So, what did I do to finally change things? Well, I had to learn to be on my own side first. Not in a I don't need anyone way, but in a I will keep going even if nobody supports me way. Because when I finally started to believe in myself, something interesting happened. People close to me started to notice, and my determination, the fact that I kept showing up consistently, no matter how many bad words and negative comments I received, that inspired them to believe themselves more, which in turn made it easier for them to believe in me. But that only happened after I stopped chasing their approval desperately. Because, as I mentioned earlier, when you don't believe in yourself first, you make other people feel like they are responsible for your successes or failures. Like your mood and determination depends on them. And that's not fair to them or to you. Of course, self-belief doesn't last long unless you pair it with action. Otherwise, in the worst case, it can turn into a big self-delusion. You start creating and believing stories where all the things you said you would do actually already happened. And you feel good and proud even though, of course, none of it happened. I've actually done this for more years than I care to admit. And no, I was never high or drunk. Anyway, you need to start building evidence to support your case. And the best way to do that is to start with small steps, to take consistent action, to let your work speak louder than your complaints. When I stopped just talking about the things I wanted to do or complaining about how hard it was going to be and actually started taking action, even in small ways, that's when things started to really change. It became easier to believe in myself, and it became easier for others to believe in me. Because now at least there was something real, not just good intentions. But I also had to learn something else. As I must have already mentioned, I couldn't take criticism well. I took every question about my plans as a personal attack. Basically, I was so insecure that I needed to believe I wasn't wrong because I didn't trust myself to be able to correct my mistakes and adapt to a better and more effective strategy. But of course, refusing to listen only hurt me, especially because not all criticism is bad, even if it's always annoying. But you can generally get something useful out of criticism. So you need to be confident enough to listen, to take what's useful, and to let the rest go. When I finally did this, I realized something surprising. Some people actually had been trying to support me all along. I just wasn't ready to listen because I wanted just blind belief. So yeah, if right now it feels like nobody supports you, don't let that be your reason to feel bitter or to quit. Let it be your reason to get started. Take action, have your own back, and build something worth supporting. Because most of the time, the people around you aren't rooting against you. There's just not much to support yet. So nobody believes in me isn't the end of your story, but the beginning. Thank you for watching. And if you want the confidence to pursue your goals even when nobody supports you, I created a completely free guide that will help you build real confidence even if you're starting from zero. It's a practical workbook that will help you build genuine self-belief through action, not just positive thinking. I'll put a link in the description and I'll see you next time. Bye.